So, welcome everyone to Love, Sex, and Leadership. I'm here with my dear friend Eri Kardos, who's a relationship expert, a TEDx speaker, a best-selling author. We've known each other for many years now, part of the Bali tribe, and her husband Jamin's a good friend of mine as well. And very excited to have her here on the show. And nothing I feel like would bring more clarity around all the beautiful fucked up relationships in the world than to bring someone like Ari on the show. So thank you for being here.
You're so welcome. I'm so happy to be here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So tell a little bit to the audience, some of your own story, like what brought you into the world to be in the place you are now to help people around love and to like love is such a
Mm,
massive topic. Like what do you
Such a
feel
massive
like
topic.
has trained you or supported you to help people around deepening their relationship with love?
Yeah. Well, I'll start by saying that I've been a relationship geek most of my life. And I'm very fortunate to have been raised by two amazing parents who taught marriage classes in our church.
Wow.
So I had a really beautiful example growing up. And then I went through my own journey, which had lots of twists and turns and struggles around sexuality and intimacy and communication and like what is this, how do we connect, and why isn't this easier? I feel like Disney films made this look so easy. I ended up getting my bachelor's in sexual psychology and really like just being fascinated with how our brains work, especially around intimacy.
Hmm.
And then I decided that that wasn't my life path in terms of like I didn't know what to do with that at the time. So I ran off to Boston and ran a youth hostel for a couple of years, which taught me a lot about sex. Youth hostels are great places for sexual exploration. And then I was like, I need to grow up. So I decided to go to business school, and I ended up being accepted to the world's #1 international business school. And I had always loved traveling. So I went there and I studied in 5 countries. And when I finished, I was hired into a very special program at Amazon.com for leadership development. So I ended up accepting that and going into leadership development, and was there at Amazon for about 5 years. And while I was there on the side, I kept learning a lot about relationships and alternative structures of relationships and how people connect and what works and what doesn't work. And Seattle was my base, and at the time it was one of the leading places in the world where you could learn about alternative relationships and what's possible and sexuality and all sorts of stuff. It was a very cool place to be at the time. And so I was doing a lot of stuff on my own, learning a lot of lessons. I read a best-selling book called Relationship Agreements, and I like to say it's pretty much a story of everything that I did wrong. Like everything that I fucked up is in that book so that you don't have to fuck it up. uh, it was a lot of learning. Oh my gosh. and then I hit this point at Amazon where I'd already become a professional coach, and I had asked. I just saw this pattern keep happening where my executives were very unfocused. Like they would
Mm,
lose their ability to be present. They would lose their ability to lead. It would just falter a bit, and they'd just be so distracted or anxious. And I remember being a one-on-one with one of them, and I just said, "Are you okay?" And his name is Bob, and he was just like, "Yeah, everything's fine." But he kept checking his phone, and I'm like, "Hey, is something going on? Are you okay telling me about what's happening?" And he took this big sigh and then let out all this. He just started telling me about what was happening at home and how his
mhm.
marriage was falling apart. And he was waiting for a text from his wife, and they had a conflict the night before, and the text hadn't come, and he didn't like he couldn't be at work because his brain and his heart were somewhere else.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I was just like, would you be okay with me supporting you in this personal matter? Because it's impacting how you're showing up here. And he
mhm,
said yes. And what I saw happen was really beautiful and powerful is
mm,
when things were better at home, he came to work with more focus and drive and clarity and happiness. And it had a
mhm,
ripple effect on the team. And I saw such a huge turnaround. And I was like, this is amazing.
mm,
And
mm.
soon I started, word got around that I talked with people about everything, including their personal lives. started seeing some spouses, started helping
Mhm.
people who were single and feeling really lonely and distracted in that loneliness.
Mhm.
So we learn how to climb the academic ladder and the social ladder and the career ladder, but we don't learn about the relationship stuff we were
Mm.
supposed to be good at.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it was really amazing. And I thought, wow, it's so much fun to impact the boardroom through the bedroom. And next thing I know, I'm being referred out to executives at all sorts of companies. So by day, I'm doing leadership development at Amazon, and nights and weekends, I am filling my time coaching executives at Google, Apple, Facebook, Boeing, SpaceX. And I'm like, wow, this is the thing. Turns out that love and relationships are really hard for humans, and especially for brilliant minds who have been very career focused. And so it became its own thing, and I decided to quit Amazon. And that's when I published my book and started speaking all over the world on the subject. And then last year, I did a TEDx on how to turn conflict into connection. And now I get to help people just discover what are these patterns that keep us stuck. You know, they're very hidden patterns for most of us. We aren't quite sure what it is, but when we discover what the patterns are, we can actually solve them and have the relationships that we dream of. And so that's what I get to do today. I get to work at this intersection of love and leadership. Oh, Erin, I think you've frozen. Come back, come back. Well, if we're still alive and anybody's tuning in, I'm going to take over the show now. So that's my background with how I got to be where I am now. And I'm based in Bali, Indonesia, and that's where I operate from. My husband and I have been together. Let me tell you some personal stuff. So my husband, as Erin mentioned earlier, my husband's name is Jamin Patel, and he and I have been together for a long time. And when we first met, we thought we're like the same person in different bodies, and we had so many similar goals, matching resumes growing up, and we just thought, wow, this is too easy. We should totally get married and have kids. So we did, and it's been quite an adventure because a couple of years in, we realized, oh no, you're not the same person as me. You're actually my opposite. So what do I do with that? Opposite in so many ways, like opposite in how we connect, opposite in our traumas, opposite in how we communicate, opposite in how we like to experience intimacy. So many different layers. So with that big surprise, we chose to do a lot of work together. And I was already a relationship expert, but there's this phrase that I hear often of like, when you're inside the jar, you can't read the label on the outside. You can't see your own mess or what you're really stuck in, you know? So we ended up calling on the world's most amazing leaders and teachers. And we learned a lot about Tantra and conscious kink and communication styles and just so many different tools. I kept going, Erin. Hi, welcome back.
You're a legend.
And I'm in the story of Jamin and I right now.
Amazing.
So yes, like let me just, that was the professional. Let me tell you my personal. So so what I was saying is like Jamin and I thought we were the same person, but we realized we were so different. And in that challenge of discovering our differences, we had to call in a lot of help. And that's where we got to work with some of the world's leading experts. Even though I was a relationship expert at that time, I needed somebody else to guide us. You know, we can't see our own mess when we're in it. And it's so helpful to have someone who's not connected to you in that way to call you out lovingly on your bullshit. And so we had a lot of amazing humans support us in this big chapter. And one of the things that most people find interesting, myself included, about Jamin and I is we're not married until death do us part. We're married so long as we're serving each other's highest good and growth. And every year, sometime during the calendar year, we tune in and we say, how is this going? Is this working for us? If not, what needs to shift? And then, do you want to get married again? And if yes, then we have a wedding. And so far, we've had 10 weddings and 2 children.
Couple of which I've been to.
Yeah, right? They've been pretty epic. I love our weddings. We have a good time. but it's not guaranteed. And, you know, our one year was total shit. You know, it was terrible. And it was not an easy, yes, we're choosing to lean into this. We did a lot of individual work and got a lot of support. And we ran off to this volcano in Bali with 2 witnesses and just decided, you know, like, okay, how are we going to move forward? What are we going to do? And we created a relationship death ritual where we killed off the old version of us and our relationship so that we could create space for something new. And what we discovered on the other side was it was really beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We could see each other with fresh eyes. We had let go of so many things that were these stories that were keeping us stuck and holding us back. So it was a really powerful choice to create this relationship death ritual, and it reset us in so many ways. So it hasn't always been an easy yes, and there's been lots of leaning in. I know there were moments like Jamin and I would laugh now and say something like, "Oh yeah, well, you know, like there were moments when both of us, I think, would agree that we would comfortably say, I love you. I just don't like you a lot right now." You know, because relationships are hard. I'm not quite sure. Now, I'm quite sure that there's no other deep way of transformation, personal development, spiritual development, emotional development, than through being in a deep relationship, especially long-term partnership. And I think parenting is a close second to that too. But these deep relationships, you know, it's it's really amazing to see how much we can learn from them and how much we can grow from them, or how much we can be stuck in them and spin and spiral, and how much they can tear us apart. So that is my pleasure and my joy now, is I get to work with people and help them see these patterns and get unstuck, because I've been there. I've lived through it, and I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people around the world get through it too. There's so many beautiful things on the other side that I want something more that's possible. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Ooh, a new background.
A new background. Playing with Starlink here, who seems to be teasing me this morning with their connection. So we're actually in our meditation studio now.
Where are you in the world?
I'm at our home in Portugal, Juicy Land. So this is actually my friend Ayala is just finishing some yoga. This is our big, beautiful meditation studio here. So, yeah.
I love it. I really want you to Portugal.
Yeah.
Well, you had perfect timing, Aaron. Welcome back. We finished the how did I get here professionally? How did I get here personally?
Thank you for your loving support while I challenge my internet.
I know how it goes. I know how it goes. Oh my gosh.
Bali. Yeah, for sure. So I love what you're sharing, and I love so much, so many pieces of the story I'm aware of as well. I think one of the things I love to get your feedback on is, like, it almost seems like in successful people and people that are doing well, you know, in business, not all the time, but there's a very vast majority of them who don't do well in their relationship love life. Like, where do you, in being in this world between, and I love this title, the boardroom and the bedroom. I have an online course actually for men, which is the successful man from the boardroom to the bedroom. So it's something I've worked with for a while as well. I love it. Like, why do successful people feel like, in general, not all the time, but not always do so well with love and intimacy?
Yeah. So first of all, I think I'll just generalize a little bit and say that most of us, most humans, did not have perfect examples of love and relationships growing up. And I know our parents did the best they could with the tools they had, but they just didn't they didn't have the same tools we have access to today. You know, many people still hold this idea that love is a fluffy subject, and it's just not anymore. It's a science. We know exactly what works and what doesn't work. We know the ingredients that are needed. We know the tools that are needed to really succeed. We just didn't learn them. And then on top of not learning them, there's also social shame, which is incredible to me. And a lot of high achievers, high performers have operated with a lot of shame put on top of them, or pressure put on top of them, right? We are supposed to climb, you know, I as somebody who is a high achiever in my life, I know I'm supposed to be performing, I'm supposed to be doing, I'm supposed to be earning. So for me, it was always a motivator. I always knew the next step. I had to graduate school early. I had to get into a top program. I had to get into a top corporation. I had to climb the ladder, right? Like there was no other option for me. It was like, here you go. Now go do it. And that pressure helped me succeed. But it was also very clear of how to go there. It's like, go to this school, go to this company, go to this thing, right? It was laid out a lot more. But when it comes to love and relationships, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about these things, and you're supposed to be good at it. And if you try to get support, there's a lot of social shame. Like if I said, hey guys, I'm a founder of my own company, which I've been an entrepreneur for over a decade, and if I say I hired a business coach, people are looking at me like, of course you did. Why wouldn't you? You're going to learn from their mistakes. You're going to make money faster. You're going to scale. Of course you are. If I say, hey guys, I'm going to learn how to play tennis. So I hired a tennis coach. People be like, yeah, of course you did. You're not just going to like guess. You're going to like try to figure out how to do it, get the proper form. Don't screw up your shoulder and have to have surgery later. You'll probably even have more fun and be playing more advanced players. This is great. Of course you're going to do that. And then if I say, hey guys, I hired a relationship expert or a therapist, people are like, oh, I'm so sorry. Things must be really screwed up. Wait a minute, where did this double standard come from? Isn't that wild? So what I find is that, I'm very fortunate to be the person invited to these tables with incredible leaders around the world. Most of my clients are executives and founders in the tech AI, specifically AI space and aerospace. So, like last month I was in San Francisco at a private dinner event of 18 people, 16 of which are leaders in AI right now. And they're like, how are you at this table? And and I'm like, yeah, because I get to hear people's stories. I get to hear what's going on behind the scenes as these people are making decisions that are impacting the entire world. And being able to hear that we all struggle with the same challenges. We didn't learn how to be with our emotions. We didn't learn how to do repair properly. We didn't learn how to be intimate in a way that's really meaningful and safe instead of just performative, right? And so it's like if all the leaders in the world, whatever your industry is, could sit down and feel safe without the pressure of like needing to be good or needing to be a power couple or needing to, be this thing that they've worked so hard to achieve. If you could just put it all down and be human for a minute, I think we look around the room and every single person there would be like, yeah, I don't really get it. And it's hard. And I wish I did, but I don't feel safe opening up about this stuff because there's so much pressure on me to be really knowledgeable and good at what I do. But I just want to share, like, with everyone who's listening, you're not alone. And so finding whoever it is that's the right support for you, who can guide you, like the fact you're listening to this program, like Erin, you are such a like fountain of wisdom and guidance. And so it speaks volumes that someone has the courage to be tuning into this and starting to question, like, what do I need to learn so that I can show up better in love and in leadership?
Yeah, and the connection point between how they're showing up in leadership. I have a few clients as well in the AI world, so I get the vastest connection there. And from your experience in this, especially when it comes to intimacy, obviously culturally there's a lot of shame around intimacy and around sexuality. But where do you see like a client that, let's say, begins to have a thriving intimacy? Do you see then a direct correlation to like then a thriving business? And is that also part of like the directionality that because leadership obviously is interwoven in these ways. So is someone who's like more like alive and rambunctious and connected to their erotic fire, does it like, of course it doesn't always, but like, do you see that often that it really opens them up into deeper leadership places in the business world as well? And also, where do you see some disconnect? Or sometimes I see some really erotically alive people that are pretty just shit at business. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts with this as well.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the simple answer is yes. Of course, I
Mm-hmm.
see a huge correlation.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's just, I think you named it. I think there's oftentimes a huge spectrum, and people seem to be very polarized. Either
Mm-hmm.
we're really good in the erotic space and we're very passionate about it, but we can't figure out how to get our stuff together to be successful in business, or we're really good in business and we've got like one go-to recipe move for the bedroom. you know and yeah, and here's what I want to say. I I came from this world over here which was very much like, I got to know a lot of sex positive educators, and I've seen where people can spin I've got a lot of erotic energy and knowledge, but I don't know how to bring that forward in the world. And I do think it's something that I saw when I worked in nonprofits as well. It's oftentimes this passion versus strategy. It's like we have a lot of passion about this thing, but we have no strategy. That was my experience in nonprofit, from my short 2 years in the nonprofit world. And then I go over to corporate world. It's like I have all this strategy, but we've lost heart, And I
Mm-hmm.
think that in many ways we just need to move towards the middle, all of us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do we combine all these skills into one, because they don't need to be so separate. And when we can learn how to tap into our erotic energy, when we can learn how to tap into learn the skills for how do we tune into what we desire. Goes for business and in the bedroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we tune
Mm-hmm.
into what we want, what we desire? How do we create a safe space for our nervous system to be chill when we're looking for these things or we're developing these things? I think, last week I was on a call with one of the world's leading researchers around love from Harvard, and I was asking her, what's one of the greatest impacts you see on someone's ability to really have successful relationships now? And she's like, that's easy. Nervous system regulation, hands down. And it's like, okay, well, we're running a world that's so fast paced and we can't calm down, and we're stressed because we're not making money, or we're stressed because we're not finding love. It's like, how do we combine these things? But we need to start with ourselves, calming down. Once we have some of these systems in place, like, how do we learn how to be with our emotions? Jamin and I were just last month talking with a woman who is a multimillionaire, and guess what she's teaching all these folks? She's teaching people how to be with their emotions in the roller coaster of business. And then I'm teaching how to be with your emotions in the roller coaster of relationships. And it's the same freaking tools, right? And it's like these things that bring up a lot for us. We need to learn these basics. And then on top of that, not only asking for what you want, being with your emotions, but then also the art of receiving. I cannot tell you how many people struggle with receiving, whether it's like receiving money because they're an entrepreneur and they feel like, oh, but I do this because I love it. And I don't know if I should really receive. Should I charge money for what I do? It's like, practice receiving. It just because you're good at it. It's probably an even better reason to receive money. And then also in the bedroom, it's like, can I just receive pleasure? They're all tied together. Can you just lay back and be like, this is freaking awesome? And I don't have to be performing all the time. When we start to put all these together, and then you take that forward in leadership in your family, leadership in your community, leadership in your work, you show up as somebody who knows what they want. They can ask what they want. They can handle the roller coaster. They can receive, and people feel like they get to connect and give. And there's so much more synergy and fluidity. And I think all of us need to learn these skills instead of swinging to one end or the other.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I see this I just finished a men's retreat here at our community in Portugal, and I think the number one thing I see for men is, can they actually learn how to receive? Just so many of us often want to give and to give and to give, and the power of being able to receive, not just with touch, but with energy, with resources, with finances. It's such a muscle. I mean, that was a huge part of my journey and growing up, that like I would say like inner feminine, learning how to receive in many ways. So yeah.
Me too, because I've got a strong masculine, and I'm guessing you've got some women out there, and they're probably type A if they're listening to this. So
for sure. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I find, in my relationship right now, my partner and I are very monogamous, like generally, we're definitely not making love with other beings. We're in a baby making phase. We'll probably have another child in the next year or so. We have a little 9-month-old right now. And when I share, because people always ask me, so I spent time in polyamory and having multiple partners and relationships, and a lot of the couples I see out there in the world that are doing polyamory, I don't see doing very well. And I'll say to them, actually, because I have dear friends in Bali, Eri and Jamin. I know they're not perfect. They're not perfect. I won't say that they are, but what I've seen through the years is they do it quite well. And I'd love for you to speak into this, because I feel like this is a very alive topic for people. I had a number of guys here in this last training asking about open relating, and my co-teacher Blake had a lot of experience with it as well. But what is your current dynamic with that, and where do you feel like the number one pitfalls are for people in open relating and polyamory, etc.? I know it can be a whole long conversation, but love to hear some wisdom.
We could do it. 3-hour podcast, 3-day podcast on this if you want. So let me start by letting the world know that we do not have a label. If we had a label, James and I would call it conscious relating. And for us, that means that we have a hierarchy, and our marriage comes first, our family comes first. And then from that place, we work really freaking hard to create both freedom and safety for each other, to be ourselves authentically and still be loved. And that is not always easy. But we don't avoid the things that a lot of people are like, I'm not sure about that. So which has meant many different things for us, not just around romance or sexuality or intimacy with others. It's meant how we handle finances, how we parent, how much solo time we take, how we invest in our personal development and our personal lives. So it has many different shapes. And I would tell you that my hobbies have brought up more angst for him than my lovers, and I can speak into that, which is in a moment, but we have been every flavor of the rainbow, and it's wonderful. And he and I are both, we're both pansexual, we're both queer, and we love intimacy and love. And I joke that my husband falls in love every day, but he probably does. Like he's a big lover. And so we just knew that, we both deeply value freedom, and we both deeply value safety and security. And so we said, how can we do that? Which means we had to learn some really powerful tools for how to have difficult conversations that most people, it's too taboo to even talk about, to bring up like, oh yeah, I kind of like somebody else, or I feel like I want to explore this with someone who's not you. Right? Or, we've been monogamous at certain times. We've been monogamous when I was having babies, when I was in the same place you were. Like, we have 2 kids who are 17 months apart. So right now in your journey, I would be pregnant for the second time already, and it's a lot. It's a lot of excitement. And so during that time, I just wanted to be focused on being a mom, and I didn't want to see anybody else. And it was hard for me even there were some chapters, especially after the second baby, where I was like, I just didn't want to be touched. Like, I was just like, I am so tired of having a baby on me all the time. We've each been celibate at different points in our marriage, which is interesting. And then we both have been involved with other people in different ways. So each of us has had a long-term partner. So my longest term partner, while being in marriage, was 6 years. And he still has a long-term partner. They've been together over 7 years. And these have been off and on, depending on how Jamin and I are doing. Like, sometimes we need to just close up, and we do, and our partners understand that. And that's part of being in our constellation. For anybody who's familiar with erotic blueprints, my husband and I are very different erotic blueprints. And now we have learned how to play in and speak all the different blueprints, which is fun, but it took us a long time and working with some awesome professionals to learn that. And still we have the ways that feel most natural to us. And so sometimes we just want to connect very easily with somebody who speaks our language.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, he speaks, let's say he speaks Gujarati and I speak French, and we've learned English so we can communicate, but sometimes it's just nice to speak your home language.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, usually when we have another lover, and a lover could mean something emotional, it could mean something like we're making out and cuddling with clothes on, it could be sexual, right? Anything is possible. We tune into what is it that we really are looking for and why, and what does it mean to me? What does it mean to him? What does it mean to our marriage? What does it mean to our family? Like, it's not just a lighthearted like thing, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
could be like, I want to have a fling, right? I want to have an overnight one night stand, or a festival experience or a conference experience, and we've done those things, but we still communicate and are very clear with what it is. And anybody we're with, they know about our marriage, they know about our partner,
Mm-hmm.
they know about our family, they know how important this is to us, and we make sure
Mm-hmm.
everything is in alignment before we proceed. So, I think people who don't practice ENM, ethical non-monogamy, in some way, I think they're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, there's just people running around fucking. I'm like, oh gosh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
it is all about clear communication and calendaring and checking on emotions and creating safety to have the freedom. But then I think where most people mess up is, even if they're seeing other people, they forget to bring the juiciness back home. They go have it
Mm-hmm.
over there, and then they don't bring it home to their partner, to their primary
Mm-hmm.
partner, to their beloved. And that's where things get really messy. And we just don't have great models for this. So I think in general, being in relationship, whether it's monogamy or ethical non-monogamy, is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that most people are more wired for monogamy, but I do think there are people who are wired for open relating in some sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Since I was 10, I can remember feeling like I just wanted to have two partners. And I feel most balanced when I have two partners. And it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I was laughing last year because I went on this tour around the world, and I'm like, who am I meeting up with? Who am I seeing? Who am I staying with? Who are my closest friends? And I had to laugh because at this point in my life, almost all of my lovers I've been with for over a decade, like in some form. Almost all of them in my life longer than my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just stayed friends, and like, maybe we're not romantically involved anymore, but we're still super close. Maybe we are romantically involved once every 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
We just have this evolving relationship, but they're like friends and family. And it doesn't have to be like this, "Ooh, we're gonna go have a crazy weekend twist." It's
Mm-hmm.
evolved, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel it feels much more mature and very safe and very fun and very sexy. And my husband gets to benefit from it, and I get to benefit from him going on his excursions, and it's
Mm-hmm.
delightful, the things that have come out of it. And it hasn't always been easy, but it's been such an incredible growth opportunity for both of us that we wouldn't give up. We wouldn't give up. And when it's
Mm-hmm.
hard, we close up and we focus on us.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're feeling expansive and safe and connected, then we open up again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. What I hear in a lot of that is a tremendous amount of communication and clarity and transparency and honesty, and really honesty with yourself as well as with the other. Yeah, no, I think it's such a strong learning journey. And my sense for a lot of people, like I often hear people, oh, my relationship isn't working so well, let's open it now. It's like, that's
Don't do that. If things are not working,
generally
do not have a baby and do not open your relationship. Do not solve anything.
I think that those are the two most important pieces of this talk. For sure. With Natasha and I, when we both met, like, and really deepened together, we were both in open relationships. So there's I would say we're in the I love that monogamous
Monogamous.
stage. Monogamous stage. Yeah, because I could feel in my own erotic body like there's no desire to be having connection outside of it, and I can, it's just our like family bubble deepening and
Yeah.
building and growing, and that feels so nourishing. And because we started in both an open place, if at some point we want to speak into that, there's a very easeful conversation there. But like for myself, I feel so nourished in our current
Yeah.
connection. It feels very, very warm.
I
So
love that. Can I tell you, Colin, can I tell you a fun story that I don't usually
of
share?
course. Yeah.
Because you're a parent and you've experienced open relating, it's really interesting. So, I told you we went through a period that was really hard. We had 2 babies under the age of 2, and our youngest, he just wouldn't be off of me ever. Like he wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
on me for sleeping, he wanted to be able to eat. Like I think our maximum record was like 45 minutes off of me. Like
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes. Like that is I started feeling like I was going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really intense. We hired, a breastfeeding consultant and a sleep consultant. And we're just like, help us. We want this child to know he's loved, but we also need a little bit of space,
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
was a process. And it got to the point where, because of so much intensity in my body and in my bubble, and I'm an introvert that plays an extrovert on TV. So I really need my alone time to recharge. I just was never alone. And I got to the point where I was just like freaking out. And then so I work with a lot of nerds and I love it. Like techies, they're my people. And I was hired to speak at PAX, which is Penny Arcade. And it's this huge convention of gamers. And yeah, it's really fun. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to fly. We were in Santa Fe at the time. I'm going to fly from Santa Fe to Seattle to speak, and I'll bring the baby with me, and I'll just like get somebody to watch him for that half an hour or whatever I'm on stage. And we had like 3 months or something to prepare. And Jamin's like, no. He's like, it's time to wean him. He's going to be 17 months old at that time. Like, it's going to be okay. I've got him. Go for the weekend.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, my whole body was like, the are you being a bad mom? Like, I thought I was trying to push to 2 years old, and I'm like, it's too early. Is it too early? But I was just like, oh, that sounds so nice, So it's that challenging point where you're making a decision as a parent, like, is this the right parental and developmental decision? And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. And I'm like, I'll just fly out during the day and I'll fly back at night. He's like, no, just go for the whole weekend. I've got this. We're going to have you pumped before you go. It's going to be great. And I'm like, okay. And then Jamin surprised me and was like, and do you have any like lovers that you want to see while you're out there? And I hadn't been seeing anyone. And I also was not in the mood to be sexy with my husband at all because it was like we had maybe a 45-minute window, and I didn't want to I'm like, don't make another baby with me, like I just need a break, So nothing felt sexy. Everything felt like okay. So it was rough. And he's like, do you have another lover you would like to see while you're out there? And I was like, what? Who are you? Why are you asking me this? Like, you're not even getting enough, And he's like, no, really. And then I thought of this one person who I had seen for like a decade, and I was like, I don't know where this guy is, but let me message him. And he was a big love of my life for many years. And I messaged him, and he's like, well, I'm going to be flying back into the country at that weekend. Just tell me where to meet you. And so we got on a call. I told him all about my life and, that I'm a parent and he's a parent too. And like he could have somebody cover with his partner and the kids. And I was like, okay. And so I flew into Seattle to speak, and I got to meet up with this wonderful human. And it was really amazing because he's not my husband and he didn't make a baby with me. Like he was able to break all my barriers of like, whoa, I don't know if I want to be touched. And he helped me come back into my body and help me remember that I'm not just a mom. And I finished that weekend and I told him, I'm like, dude, you could start a company where you just fuck women back into remembering who they are and send them back home to their husbands so they want to make love to them again if they're stuck, I went home and was so in love with my husband and was so open to being intimate again. He was like, that man.
Wow.
I need to thank that man. I'm like, I know.
Wow. So beautiful. And what a beautiful, just recognition of where you were, and a recognition of the shift and the change that Jamin brought in.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely, Natasha's still breastfeeding now, and we're very much in the Theo's asleep at night, and okay, we can, we find our like half hour to hour window in the evening, and
Yep.
she's pretty well attached during the day. But I try I mean, when I'm teaching, it's not so easy, but every morning I try to, like this morning before our podcast, I was taking him for a walk and just to give her some solo time and time where,
Yeah.
she can remember that she's not just a mom and has other things she's doing. So I can see, I mean, we're just 9 months in, so we're very, very fresh, but it's, I can see the psychological pieces that are coming up. I'm
Yeah.
going to be, in July, she's been in this 3-year shamanic training. And so there's a week-long retreat. So that she's going to be in, and I'll be in daddy mode for the week. And like, we haven't done any of the pumping or any of the stuff like that. So I'll be breastfeeding. I'm pretty sure that will be like the biggest initiation of my life beyond any retreat I've ever taught.
I love this.
For sure. Yeah. No, it's great. So I a question, because, for couples, whether they're, open or non-monogamy, or like, what are the most important relationship agreements that couples should talk about? Like, what are the things that are like the must to, that if they're a couple wanting to be more conscious, more clear, more transparent, what are some of the agreements that are important to cover?
Yeah, for all couples, regardless of relationship structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you're open or monogamous. From the foundation, like
Exactly.
a lot of people come to me and say, we're thinking about opening up. How do we do it? And I'm like, well, before we even have those conversations, we're going to check the foundation of your relationship, because if you can't do monogamy well, you're definitely not going to. If you can't do single player well, you're definitely not going to do multiplayer well. Okay, So it's like, when we're looking at the foundation, certain things that I'm looking for are, do you, and we'll get into agreements in a minute, but you could even phrase it as agreement. Do you have a clear agreement for how you handle conflict? And do you have the tools? Do you have the tools for handling this conflict? Do you have a clear agreement for what we do when we have big emotions? So when my partner has a big emotion, when I have a big emotion, how are we going to handle it together? If we've got kids, what are we going to do when our kids have big emotions? The Gottman Institute is for those who don't know, is the world's leading researchers on couples. And I've loved the work I've done with them. And what they discovered after decades and decades of research is that the number one thing we could do to influence the next generation to grow up and have happy, healthy, long-term relationships is teach them emotional mastery, teach them how to be with their emotions. So let's start there. If we can't be with our emotions, and we don't feel safe when our partner has big emotions, this is not going to bode well, right? And then we learn how to communicate. Most of us didn't learn how to really listen. How do you listen so that you understand the other person? And then how do you communicate in a way that the other person understands you and really is able to receive you? And these are agreements. These are agreements of like, we're going to communicate in this way. And when we start to fall back into old patterns, we can catch ourselves. And Jamie and I use a redo card often. I will. It's funny. Like, we'll be in the kitchen. I'll like make a sassy comment or snap or something depending on my mood, and I'll be like, redo, and I'll just like jokingly rewind my body and come back in and try it again, and like scene, and it adds a little laughter and a little humor, and you could see that he was getting triggered, and then he'll just be like, thank you for catching it and redoing it. We get to have a lot of grace and humor together. And then, like, I would say an agreement of, and then there's all sorts of like logistical agreements that I would say everyone should have in place. How are you going to handle the big things like finances? Have you talked about it? Most people don't want to talk about sex or finances. We need to talk about these things. How are you handling intimacy, and what does it mean to you? If I could give every couple one question, actually every human one question to just be asking throughout your entire day, is, what does it mean to you? We're always making stories, we're always creating meaning, and then we don't explain it to our partner, but we assume it has the same meaning for them, and it trips us up. Almost all the suffering we have is from these stories we keep making up. So just instead of making up a story and believing it, just when you catch yourself in a story or a judgment, ask the source. Go to your partner and be like, what does this mean to you? Is this like, what is the story you're making up? And really get there. these kind of agreements will shift how you connect, how you develop together, how you stay on the same path, and it'll help keep you out of the patterns that keep us stuck.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I love also the pieces around the conflict. I feel like when couples have certain capacities to actually navigate conflict with more humor, or just aliveness, rather than the holes that they kind of bury themselves in. I laugh actually with Natasha, because I've been with a lot of very fiery, like, Latin women in my relating.
Uh-huh.
And in with the two of us, we've been together for well over 2 years now. I mean, not a long time, but a good decent amount of time, and we've like
Yeah,
maybe
you're
had
through the NRE. You're through the new relationship energy.
for sure, for sure, and we've maybe had like half of an argument. Like, we've never really, like, I mean, there's a lot of like fire and intensity between us, but like, compared to the very fiery women I was with before, I'm like, I have so much patience because I've just been down the fucking battering ram so many times. I'm like, baby, you're amazing. She's like, oh, but and then when she gets upset, she's just really cute. So I just find it really cute. I was trying to, I think, triggers her a little bit more. I'm serious right now. I'm like, I know, babe, but you're just so cute right now. So like my kind of softness, I think, brings her, like, lets the charge lessen a bit more as well. And I that's such an important piece, to like, one of the two needs to have a capacity to recognize the bigger shift and not continue to spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so good. It's so good. And if you can both do it, it's even better. And then imagine, like, this is what you guys are modeling for your kids,
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
it's incredible. Like, I just right before I took a dinner break, I was writing a post about how, most parents really think about this idea of you should not fight in front of your kids, and I think just the opposite. You should be intentionally fighting in front of your children, but not the fighting you saw your parents do.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that
Mm-hmm.
was, probably. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to learn how to handle conflict in a healthy way, and then go handle it in front of your children, because where else are they gonna learn?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so for us, like, when the kids were like 3 and 4 years old, they played with Legos, and my husband and I would know that we're in a conflict, and we would intentionally move our discussion from the bedroom to go sit on the couch in the room where they were playing, so that they could pick up on the side how we were handling this, and how we were speaking to each other, and how we were naming our emotions, and moving through it. And then now our kids are 9 and 10, and they just went off to a big overnight camping thing on a mountain with their class. And they came back, and they were able to tell me that there was an incident, Mom. And they told me what happened. And I'm like, well, what'd you do? Like, how did you handle it? And they used all the same steps that we've been teaching them. And they're
Wow.
9 and 10 years
Wow.
old, and I'm like, most of my clients don't have this kind of skill set and awareness, when they come to me, and these kids are 9 and 10. So
Amazing.
I joke with my clients. I'm like, I am saving you thousands of dollars in therapy for your children right now, just by you learning something new and modeling a different way with them.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I'd love to also speak into that, because what I see happen with a lot of people is people are willing to have the unconscious arguments in front of their children. I'm not saying, that sometimes it happens, but they're like never willing to let the children know that mommy and daddy are making love. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, mommy and daddy are gonna go have, intimate sex time. It's like, oh, no, 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 the children. Yeah, I remember funny story. Years ago, I was, after finishing a training in Italy, and I was with a lover at her family's place in beautiful Tuscany, and they ran like kind of an Airbnb, so they had people coming in, and we were making love every day. And we were downstairs one day, and having a glass of wine and watching the sunset. And this father comes over to us, and he's like, you could tell he's just super awkward. He's like, looks at me. He's like, you must be really good. And I was like, what he's like, the noise, but like the children, like, we got to be concerned about the children. It was just, first I had no idea what he was talking about. And then I realized that she was making a lot of sex sounds while we were
Uh-huh.
making love. and he didn't know how to have the conversation with his children that were hearing the sounds of what to do. So it just made him super uncomfortable and awkward. So I'd love for you to speak into this as, you know, a mother and a partner and someone who's helping people. Like, what's the best way, and have you already had these conversations with your children? How are you navigating this with you and Jamin, or, you know, and also
Yeah.
for couples?
I would say this one's a little bit trickier for us. I
Yeah.
wish I'm going to say with anything, there's no
Yeah.
black and white, right? Like,
Of course.
and we're always navigating and figuring out, and it depends on who your kids are and their temperament and all of things and their age and all of that. I would say it's been a little bit more challenging for Jamin and I because cultural backgrounds also come into play, and he was raised in a very conservative family, and so I think he has a little bit more concern than I do around it, which is funny. But we do talk about what is sex. We have, you know, with our kids all the time, and we have books around, like, we have really fun, like, graphic novels now around, like, what our bodies and what they work. And our eldest just got his first zit ever this week, so we're like, puberty is coming. And we have officially progressed from, you know, around age 7, it was like the peak of the fart jokes, and now we're in, you know, 9 and 10. So I don't think I've gotten through a day where I haven't heard at least one penis joke. So we're now in the balls and penis joke time, and trying out sexual innuendos and stuff. And so it's really interesting because we're very, very straightforward with our kids about everything. If they ask us a question, we'll make it age appropriate in the answer, but we don't hold back. And so they know stuff that most of their friends have no idea about, which is also a challenge as a parent, because we're like, so when you go to school, this is not for you to share, because this is up to the other parents to choose what they're going to share with their own kids, right? So it's a weird thing. I never thought I needed it. I never even considered, like, wow, my kids know so much around bodies, around sex, around intimacy, and around open relating. Like, they just know a lot. We don't openly show anything with our other partners besides, like, we cuddle and hang out with everybody. So, and if the kids ask, we are, you know, we'll say, like, oh, you know, mommy's going on a date with so-and-so, or daddy's going on a date with so-and-so. We also have solo dates. So we were very clear with that. Like, I'm going on a solo date tonight, so I'm just going out dancing. So, you know, and we'll also be like, mom and dad's date night is tonight. The other day, my son, one of my youngest, was like, did you guys have sex? And I was like, yeah, we did. Yeah. And it was great. You know, and we've talked about why people have sex. So we have a lot of nudity in our house. So they're seeing bodies and understanding that. But, you know, when it comes to the sounds, we're still figuring that one out as a family around, like, what is like, how do we want to expose them or not? And I would say what's really entertaining for me right now also is that they are making more sex noises than I am making, because they pick it up at school and they don't know what they're doing. You know, we've had to have some big conversations in the past 2 or 3 months. They'll, like, you know, excuse me, but they'll be like my youngest will be at the dinner table and be like, I'm like, okay, do you know what that means? You know. So Aaron, I don't have a clear answer for you right now, other than, like, we're talking about it. But we're also juggling everyone's level of comfort and discomfort in this, and we haven't found, like, the part of me before I became a parent, what that was, like, really into, you know, sex positive community and was very active in Seattle, would have been like, of course I'm gonna have loud sex with my kids in the house. Of course I am. When they were babies, we did no problem because they're babies. Now I'm like, we haven't figured it out.
Yeah, it's complicated. Fair enough. I mean, I'm well before that stage. I mean, we're just, you know, he stays asleep at this point.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I can imagine.
But we do have loud. Here's the other thing: we have loud sex, but we all sleep with white noise machines in our rooms. So the kids couldn't hear us. Like, the kids can't hear us when it's happening. So it's not like we're choosing not to have loud sex. I love loud sex. It's not like we're not choosing to do that. It's just they can't hear us. and we'd have to like be like, okay, in the afternoon when they're home, we're gonna intentionally, I'm like, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I remember years ago when I was living in Perth with Raven, and when she and I were together, and her kids were younger, they're kind of younger teenagers, and we were very like, okay, we're going, in the bedroom, and they're, I don't want to know, mom, and and they were very like, against it, and now she's teaching about sex and intimacy with her daughter. It's really
Yes,
beautiful. So
I love it.
it's amazing to see that kind of evolution in just the developmental stages and the teenage years, and then kind of coming into intimacy in that way. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
powerful. Yeah.
it's really cool. And even the fact that we can talk about it, like we've talked to our kids about, like, why would people want to have sex, and it's not just to make babies. It's because it can be
Mm-hmm.
really pleasurable and joyful, and it's a part of being a
Mm,
human. And to have those kind of conversations is so beautiful. I feel
mm-hmm.
very blessed that we can talk openly with our kids about this.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Well, this has been an absolute joy, darling. With for people that want to find out more about you, or what do you have coming up that you'd maybe like to share, what's exciting, and projects you're working on, or what are exciting things coming into your world?
Yeah, thanks. So everything I do is Relearn Love. So my website is relearnlove.com. On Instagram, I'm Relearn Love. And I just released my quiz a couple months ago, and it helps people figure out what are the hidden patterns that are keeping people stuck in relationships. And
Mm,
it's free. So
mm,
my big thing is go figure out what your pattern is, try it out, learn. And if it feels like there's some way I can help you in your journey, please don't hesitate to reach out.
mhm,
I see a handful of private clients every year, and I speak on a lot of stages. So if there's
mhm.
some sort of way that I can support you, whoever's listening in on your journey, whether it's in a corporate environment or a retreat, just let me know. I'd love to have that conversation, and I'm excited that we get to share this conversation today, Erin. It's really powerful.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for who you are in the world as a mother, as a partner, as a business owner, as a speaker, as a writer. It's all the different hats that you wear. Really honoring and celebrating you. It's a joy to have you as a friend in my life. So thank you for the work you do.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise. So good.
Yes. Thank you,
Hmm.
everyone, for tuning in to Love, Sex, and Leadership. If this is the first time watching, please like or subscribe, comment. We'd love to hear any questions from you. And please tune in to some of the other amazing episodes out there. Have a beautiful
Woo.
day and see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.